processes. So many people have had an opportunity, I'm sure, to see previous webinars where we talk about how we look at user activities, events that take place, but now we're going to associate them with business processes. So we look at analyzing the business user behavior. We can dive deeper into the business process design. Specific processes related to a step-by-step process for any business process. How can you shorten the process cycles or improve on them, and identify process bottlenecks? So I wanted to start off with a couple of examples. How can you gain control of those costs? So we've had a couple of Dutch utilities that have used the diagnostics. How did they achieve that? So they saved, in these instances, it's actually on a per year basis. So one Dutch utility saved 185,000 euros per year by avoiding slow user VPNs. Another Dutch utility saved 230,000 euros per year, optimizing the configuration and implementation of quality manager rules. We had a Luxembourg utility use it, where we helped them improve on the indexing and message usage. That only saved them 10K, so you can see that's quite different. One Malaysian utility saved 200,000 US dollars by setting up indexes on their databases. And Cox Communications has been just recently using diagnostics. We're helping them with the data corruption issue and the resolution to that. The dollar savings haven't been figured out yet. It's not quite mature enough yet to identify what those costs are. Good. I'm going to hand it over to Swami now. Swami is going to bring you through a process as to how we can use diagnostics in business processes. Swami, you're up.
Okay. Yeah. So hello everyone, and my name is Swami, and welcome to the webinar. In this webinar, I'm going to talk about the business process and how diagnostics can help you identify bottlenecks in your business process and assist you in making them more efficient. Diagnostics has helped numerous utilities across the world to improve various aspects of their small world environment by providing actionable insights derived directly from their own user or system behavior. What we have done now is we have taken this capability a step further by enabling diagnostics to provide insights on the various aspects of the business process. I would like to start this webinar by providing a brief introduction to our product. This is for those who are not familiar with it. Diagnostics basically tracks everything. Think of it like a black box which is mounted on a flight. Black box tracks everything that happens inside a flight. Diagnostics tracks everything that happens inside small world. Black box data can be leveraged to make our flight experience better. Similarly, diagnostics data can be leveraged to make users experience better, small world experience better. Anything that goes wrong on a plane, people usually look for a black box. Similarly, anything that goes wrong in small world, look at diagnostics. And last but not least, just like having a black box on board has no impact whatsoever on our flight experience, having a diagnostics on top of small world has no impact whatsoever on the user experience of small world. What this means is, if you were to examine two instances, one of small world, one with diagnostics and one without diagnostics, you will not find any differences in terms of user experience in any of these instances. So how this works is, for every activity that user performs in their small world system, it can be from opening an application to performing a map-based activity to performing a database activity, diagnostic tracks all these details and passes it on to an intermediate database. Then the data from these databases are processed and presented to the user using insightful and easy to understand dashboards in diagnostics. The way we built this product is we built it piece by piece. We started out with providing insights into the database related activities in Small World, the insert, update, and delete operations. And that was followed by providing insights on the map-based activities such as span, zoom, select. Then came the Small World functionalities, and piece by piece, we built a product that was able to provide our clients actionable insights into every single activity that happens inside their Small World environment. Recently, in one of our meetings, we decided to revisit this whole process of building a product piece by piece. And we asked ourselves, now that we are able to track everything that Small World has to offer, is there anything else that we can provide insights on? The answer to that particular question was the one thing that binds all these activities together in Small World, and that is the business process. So we decided to start tracking the business process. So the first question that we had once we decided this is, what are the various tools that a business process in Small World is made up of? Again, the answer was the business process in Small World is made up of three main tools. We have the design manager, we have the job manager, and finally, we have the quality manager. The design manager is used to manage the flow of the business process. The job manager takes care of the back-end tasks that takes place as part of the business process flow. And finally, we have the quality manager used for validation of the data, which is digitized in these designs. Now that we knew what are the tools that a business process is made up of, the next obvious question was, how do we track business process in Small World? So to do this, we decided to track the 4 different aspects of a business process in Small World. The first one was the design manager. And here what we decided is to identify the states in which most of the users spend their time. The second was the quality manager to identify what are the most frequently reported data related errors by quality manager. This was also because these errors which are reported can result in state transition failures, and it can also result in more time being spent on digitization of data in terms of rework of data. The third one that we decided to go for was the job manager to understand jobs, or to take a look at the jobs which are taking a lot of time and how they are tied back to the business process. And finally, we decided to take a look at the web services themselves to identify the ones which are taking a lot of time to be executed. Now, let me show you the insights of the diagnostic, how insights from diagnostics can help deliver business process or help make business process more efficient. I'll do that using an example. Imagine a utility, they have a few GIS driven business processes and they wish to make their business process more efficient. Their first step to do that, to make their business process more efficient, is to understand where they need to concentrate on. Which are the business process that they need to concentrate on and that they need to make more efficient. To address this particular concern, we have built 3 dashboards under our design manager section. The first dashboard shows the top 5 business process with the most number of designs in Small World. Now I'm going to concentrate on the business process which occupies major chunk of this pie, and that is the new connection process. The second dashboard shows the top 5 time consuming business processes. Since I'm interested only in new connection, I'm going to concentrate only on that. So now using these 2 dashboards, I get my first insight, which you can see over here. And so I get my first insight. Now there is a third dashboard which will give me an insight on the business process in which users are most active on. Here again, I see that the new connection is the most active one. and which also gives me my second insight. Now, using these two insights, the insights being new connection has the most number of designs, it is also second most time consuming, and it also is the most active business process in my GIS environment. Using these two insights, I know that I need to concentrate on business process. So in this particular business process, now that diagnostics has helped me identify where to look at, the next thing that I need to do is to understand what can I do to make my new connection business process more efficient, right? So let's start with the preliminary, the first component of small world driven business process, the state model. So we have a dedicated dashboard, again inside design, under design manager, which can highlight the most time consuming designs in a given business process. Now in this case, I'm talking about new connection. So the bar that you see are associated with the designs of new connection, which took a lot of time. And from this, I'm going to take a look at the one that took the most amount of time, the first one. And diagnostics will also help me, will also help client to dive deeper into this design state. So what this means is I can use diagnostics to identify a time related flow of my business process design here. So using this dashboard, it's easy to see that the flow of the design, it's easy to see the flow of the design along with the time that was spent in each state. We also see here that there has been a few state transition failures. The design has gone back and forth a couple of cycles. And from this particular dashboard, I'm going to concentrate on these two peaks that you see here. The first one is during digitization of the data, the in-design state. And the second one is during the posting of the data. And I also see that these are the timelines which are associated with these two peaks. So again, using these two dashboards, the first insight that I have for the question, why my new connection process is slow, is that users are spending a lot of time in digitization of data and while posting of the data. So that's my first insight. Right. By the way, this is going to be a summary sheet that I'm going to be maintaining throughout this particular webinar. And this I will use to note all the insights that we get from the process of diagnosing the problem of why new connection is so slow. And at the end of it, let us see if we can summarize everything into an insight, which can in turn be converted to an actionable item. So the first insight that I have is digitization and posting in new connection takes a lot of time. The next dashboard, we look at the quality manager. The first three dashboards that you see here will tell me the business process which has most number of QA/QC runs, the first one. The design state where most number of QA/QC errors are reported, the second one. And the third one is about the collections for which most of the errors are reported. Again, I'm going to concentrate on the one which are on top of the list. And as you can see here, they are the new connection, the in-design, and cable. What this means is this translates to my first insight, which says that a lot of cable-related QA/QC errors are being reported in the in-design state of the new connection process. That's my first three dashboard. The second dashboard, or the fourth dashboard, will tell me the most frequently reported errors for my cable asset. From the first one, I know that the cable is the collection which I need to concentrate on. The fourth dashboard will tell me in cable which are the errors which are most frequently reported. So once again, I see that two checks are most frequently reported. The one with the phase here, and the other one with an voltage check. Now, these two insights have given me my first actionable item, which is to educate my users to make sure that there is to make them reduce the number of phase check errors and voltage checks errors which are being reported during digitization, And if there is a need, I can even go for DLT. If an action is repeated over and over again, I can make it, I can address that using automated process of DLT. Right. So once again, I make a note of my first actionable item in the summary sheet. Next, I move on to the job manager dashboard. Here we have three different dashboards. The first one tells me the most error affected business process. Error here, by the way, means failed jobs. And the second one tells me the job types which are most vulnerable, and finally, the state transition in which most of these jobs fail. So concentrating on the top again, now I see that I get to know that the new connection has the second most failed number of jobs. The job failure are mostly around generation. The top failure jobs are around generating of PDF and submission of BOQ, the bill of quantity. And finally, I see that the jobs are failing in the state from post pending to posted, that is just before posting of the data. And the second one is between approval requested state and the approved state. So from these dashboards, once again, I have my two insights. This one, the new connection has a lot of generating PDF and submission of BOQ related job failures. And the second one is where the state transition in which most of these failure of jobs occur. So the second action item that I get is to perform a root cause analysis of why these PDF generation and BOQ submission jobs are failing so often. Right. So I make a note of here. So now what we see is I have one insight which says that users are spending a lot of time in digitization and posting. I'm trying to understand why. And from my quality manager dashboard and my job manager dashboard, I have two actionable insights which will help me make my new connection process more efficient. The last one is our GSS dashboard. Now we are going to refer to two dashboards which are there in the GSS, which are under the GSS dashboard. The first one will help me understand the most time consuming web services in my system. The second one will provide me the information on the load balancing of the web services in my server. From the above chart, I can see that the link asset web service, although it is called second most number of times, has a large average duration of execution. And in the second chart, I see that most of the web services are being handled by my web server one, the one in blue, and it is taking most of the load, or it is handling most of the load of the web service, which can then result in web service executions being delayed because web services are then placed in a queue and has to wait for execution. So my insights from these two dashboards would be, first, to take the link assets is taking a lot of time. Second is web services are unevenly balanced, which brings me to my third action item, which is to dig deeper into my link assets web service, understand if why it is taking so much time. And second would be to make sure to manage the load across the services handling, across the servers handling my web services. Now that we have the final action item has been noted, let's see how everything adds up. So my first question, the question that I got from my design manager dashboard was, why my new connection process taking so much time? So my design manager dashboard helped me to understand which is the business process that I need to concentrate on, and I decided it was a new connection. The first dashboard from business process, the state, the one related to state model, helped me identify the design states in which I need to concentrate on, the digitization and the posting. Then we went on to the quality manager dashboard, which helped me identify the data validation failures, which are frequently occurring, which might be delaying my business process. Then we went on to the job manager to identify the jobs which might be causing the delays. And finally, we landed in the GSS dashboards, which helped us identify the web service and the load balancing problem, which might also be a contributing factor. Now, these actionable insights can then be leveraged to make my business process more efficient. Before I move on, I would also like to mention that these dashboards that you see in this webinar are not the only ones that we have in diagnostics. There are a lot more. We just decided to use these dashboards because it just helped me to diagnose, to explain this particular example to you guys better. Now, let me show you how these actionable items translate into savings for your utility. So consider a scenario where you have diagnostics in-house, monitoring your business process. It gives you a set of specific insights related to various aspects of your small world. It tells you the phases of business process that are taking a lot of time. It points you directly to things that you need to look at to improve the performance. Let's say you act on these insights, and since these are data-backed insights, they do result in performance being improved. So let's do a bit of calculation using a set of moderate numbers. So let's say these insights have helped you to improve the process by a meager sum of say 15 minutes or 1/4 of an hour. You have a user base of say 100 users who work 200 days per year, and they cost you $20 an hour. Again, a moderate sum. So if we were to put all these numbers in an equation, in a simple mathematical equation, the total savings that we get, even for such moderate numbers, would be $100,000. In real world scenarios, these numbers are much, much more, as you would have seen in the saving slides that John had presented. Now, before I wind up this webinar, I would like to give you guys a glimpse of the things that we at Diagnostics are currently working on. The first one is the Synergy dashboard. These dashboards are being built by combining data from job manager, from design manager, quality manager. What this means is if there are any specific questions that is related to data validation done as part of a job, which is causing your business process to slow down, you don't have to look or get those information from multiple dashboards. All this information will be made available in a single, easy to understand dashboard. The second one that we are working on right now is on building utility specific dashboards. This means that in future, gas utilities will have dashboards to have insights on the cathode protection tool. Say water utilities will have dashboards for outage management tool. Electric utilities will have ones for electric circuit builds, and telecom utilities will have dedicated dashboards for providing insights into the path and trace tabs. With that, I come to the end of this webinar. I hope you found it insightful, and I sincerely hope that you too will one day shine the beacon. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Swami. Really good presentation. I hope actually everyone had a good understanding of what we were trying to extrapolate out of the business processes, the data, how we can use that, how we can amalgamate it, aggregate it, and provide different insights to your business processes. We just selected these particular ones. I know that there are many other business processes within the small world environment that we can support. But these are ones that definitely come up to the forefront with many utilities today. Good. So we're on to the question and answer session at the moment. Going to ask our host, do we have any questions that have been submitted? As I mentioned before, you just need to select the chat tab, submit them, and then we'll put a response to them right away. Good. So no questions at the moment. we'll give you a couple of minutes if there's any questions that need to be submitted. We'll just wait for a sec. So we have our first question. The question is, we want to upgrade to CST5 and we're afraid for slow startup times. Can diagnostics help to prevent slow startup in CST5? Swami, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. Well, yes. So we do have dedicated dashboards built specifically for Small World 5 in diagnostics, which can be leveraged to make sure that these startup times are addressed. Also, the startup times might be related to numerous backend activities which are happening in your small world, which again diagnostics can help track and provide insights on which are the ones that you need to concentrate on to improve your startup.
Thank you, Swami. Any other questions? So I have another one. It says that you say that diagnostics does not impact the user experience. How is this possible? Swami, you talked about that. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah. How diagnostics works is all the data, all the tracking of data which is collected as the user works in their small world environment. All those are stored in a queue, and then diagnostics waits for an ideal time to come up in the small world to send those data out to the intermediate database. So in this case, diagnostics always waits for the system to be idle to send the data, and it does not send data while something is being worked on in small world. That's how it does not impact the user experience. It remains the same.
Thank you, Swami. Good answer. Any other questions? So questions come up, what do I need to start using diagnostics? Swami, you want to take that one?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
What do I need to start using diagnostics?
It's not much. You need a Java instance, an Oracle or a MySQL server, MySQL database, and a server to host diagnostics. That's pretty much about it. And you need to provide some firewall permissions for the diagnostics to access, to have access to the small world environment. That's all.
Okay. We've got a comment from Cox, as they're online with us as well. They confirm that there's been no performance impact using diagnostics on the small world, which is, thank you very much. Good. Time for one last question. Anybody else have a last question? What does it cost? You're taking my thunder away. How about I start with the next slide, and we can talk a little bit about what the costs are. Good. So I actually did want to put this quote in front of you. This is one of our customers. Diagnostics has shown that quality manager is a laborious and time-consuming factor in the registration process. By optimizing this process, we now see in diagnostics that QM activity, as well as the number of reported QM flags, has been halved. And that's how they were able to achieve their savings. So the cost. We offer a trial period. It's a standard trial period for $20,000 US dollars. You can use the diagnostics tool. You get to define 3 areas of concern that you wish to resolve. And what we do is we do that analysis, and that analysis comes with outcomes, actionable items in a report to identify where those items can be resolved. Of course, there are other options. We have a full service option, so you can define your own project. There's a purchase, lease, there's analysis services, training, and of course, after analysis services, because you want to be able to resolve those particular issues. And to that end, with respect to the trial, we're giving the first customer out of this webinar who decides that they wish to try it in a trial period, you will receive that analysis service for free. In other words, the price is half for the trial, and you'll get a report. This offer expires May 31st of this year, so just before the GE user conference. Good. I just mentioned the GE user conference. It's a grid solution. We have a booth there. We're in booth number 5. We hope that we can see you there. We'll be on site, Swami and Kuhn and myself, to be able to do more in-depth demonstrations of the software. I also want to make note of the fact that Cox Communications will be giving a presentation in the telecoms tract on Wednesday from 8:30 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. The title of the track is "The Devil is in the Details" by Jadev, and I'm really looking forward to his presentations and the details that he's uncovered during his diagnostics process. If there are any questions, you are more than welcome to go to our website, diagnosticsincontrol.com. Geert has actually just written a blog. It's a new blog just put on late last week. It's an interesting description of some other factors of diagnostics. If you have any questions, please send an email to info@diagnosticsincontrol.com. I would like to thank everyone for attending this webinar. Most people probably have details for myself. I'm the one that sent out the request for the webinar, so you can respond to that. Of course, the info, and I most certainly hope to see everyone at the Bellevue conference in June, in a month's time. Thank you very much, and goodbye.